Warning. The Outsider's Edge contains strong opinions, unconventional views, and contrarian stances. Listen, if you dare.
Hey, yo!
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Rance, aka Ray Cash, and I told you we had something special for you. I guess it's hilarious that at this point, the special guest for the Outsider's Edge is the actual co-host of the Outsider's Edge. But you are back with another episode with my brother, my partner in crime, Mr. Carl Irvin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic as I can, I guess. Yeah, just kind of. It's been what 3 weeks since I've been on the show, maybe
Something like
more.
that.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
But just got a lot going on in my personal life, and we won't discuss that. But trying to fit it in when I can, guys. I feel bad leaving you, but I know you've been able to replace me with someone way better anyway, so it's all good. Hopefully I can eventually get consistent one of these days.
Well, I mean, you're consistent enough for me.
But all things considered, I'm here tonight, and tonight is what matters. There may not be a tomorrow. Who knows? So
Tomorrow is not promised.
that's right.
We missed you though, man. We missed
I,
you
well,
as a
you
show.
missed me for sure. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah,
You
maybe Ricky and Clive.
know, no, Ricky and Clive definitely. Ricky more than anybody. Um, but yeah, we have
Shout out.
missed you. Shout out to the homies. And while we're at it, shout out to my boy Kyle. Who's kind of my stand-in slash third host, if you will.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do appreciate Kyle. I haven't said thanks to him personally, even though I talked to him a little bit on the Twitters. But yeah, I do appreciate it, Kyle. I'm sure you're listening. You'll be listening. So thanks for filling in, and hopefully I'll be here every week so you can get off my fucking show. All right, cool.
Oh, okay. Well,
Jokes, jokes, jokes.
shots fired. Uh, so we haven't given you a traditional outsider's edge in about 3 weeks, I think, 3 4 weeks. So there's been so much that's happened. We can't go back. We're not going to talk about the Kenny Omega, Chaz and Rance thing. That's so long ago. We're not. So a lot of things we want that we could have talked about that we're not. But we got some major things to talk about this week that are relevant to right now. And there is nothing more relevant in the entire sport of wrestling. Sport? What are you talking about? Then I
Yeah,
wish there was a moment where I could be facetious and funny, but got to be serious, man. Hulk Hogan back. What the fuck?
yeah. Hulk Hogan, brother. Uh, I'm not surprised, right? I mean, I'm really not. Like,
Well, let me break it down real quick for the people who, because
yeah,
it's
go
always
go ahead.
somebody who doesn't know, right? Hulk
Sure.
Hogan has been, please understand the words, reinstated in the Hall of Fame. He hasn't been
Right.
rehired. He hasn't been put on this. He's just been reinstated into the Hall of Fame after what's been publicly announced now as a 3-year suspension. We know what he
Right.
did. The Gawker case. He was unknowingly recorded in a sex tape with his best friend's wife. Take that as you
Yeah.
will. And in the tape, he talked about how basically he used the N word as much as he used brother, and that should tell you how much he used
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Not only using the N word, which is terrible in its own right, but it's the context. Brooke Hogan, his daughter, was dating a black dude, and she didn't like the black dude or the black dude's daddy. He didn't like the black dude or the black dude's daddy. Thought that if she was gonna at least date effing in, it might as well be a basketball player or a baseball player who makes $100 million. And he even said, "Yeah, of course I'm a little racist. I think we all are." All this stuff. So he's finally been reinstated. That's 8 years ago. He won a major, massive settlement because of his privacy being invaded and all this. But he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So sorry, please.
No, you're fine. I'm not surprised that he's reinstated. For I wouldn't say a ton of reasons, but I think for me the main reason is one. This is Vince McMahon we're talking about here, and Vince, for all the shit you can say about him, he's nothing if not willing to forgive. I don't know about forget, but he's definitely willing to forgive people for shit.
That's
now,
the truth.
That being said, this is, if this, okay, this is going to sound really bad, but this is reality. If this was like the 1980s and this happened, he probably never would have got suspended. And the thing is,
if at the heights he was at, hell no.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at today in 2018 and the way things have changed and the way, slowly but surely, it's not, we've talked about this before. It's not, these things don't change overnight. Racism doesn't go away. It's probably never going to go away, but it doesn't go away overnight for sure. We've talked about, like today, people are more aware of these things now. And I feel like our generation, maybe even the generation coming behind us, are learning that this just isn't acceptable. Like I'm not saying that it's not going to continue to happen, because of course it is. But, I feel like our society now, especially the younger generations, are learning, and it shouldn't really, it should have never had to been something that we had to learn. We should know already,
Amen.
but we don't.
Yeah.
But we don't. People don't, and that's just the reality of the situation. We got to be real.
Yeah.
So in Hulk Hogan's case, think about. Hogan. Wrestling is synonymous with Hulk Hogan.
Absolutely.
The WWE probably isn't what it is without him.
I say WWE,
maybe
the entire business is not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, am I surprised that he was First of all, I didn't even know he was suspended. But
well, we knew he was taken off the website.
Right.
So that was they never made a big to do of it in
Right.
public, but that was basically what they were doing was saying you gone, and he didn't get fired or they didn't move on from him. They basically said, hey, go chill at the trap house, go chill at the safe house. We go get some heat off you real quick.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
I will say this about Hogan, and I think it would be really. I think it's stupid. I don't know if it's. This is such a difficult issue. Like because he's Hulk Hogan, right? Like he's not beyond reproach by any means, but what he means to wrestling, and I think there's something in terms of what they're trying to get out of him, which I think is going to be like content. I don't think you're going to see him on television.
Please.
God, I hope not.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I don't know how many people that are listening, or I'm sure you probably have, watched the Andre the Giant documentary.
Yeah, I did. It was tremendous.
Hulk Hogan, during that documentary, had some really that was one of my, as a wrestling fan, the wrestling part of it, Hogan's bit in the documentary was my favorite, because he was just talking about how they laid out the match and all that stuff, and he didn't know what Andre was going to do. Like, Hogan's insight into the wrestling business, even though he can be very, who knows what's the truth, which is a lot of guys that talk about wrestling.
Sure.
The truth always lies somewhere in the middle. But he has insight, right? And he can tell you things and give you certain content that you may not get from other people.
Absolutely.
And so for that reason, I think that's the true reason they brought him back. If you want my honest opinion, maybe Vince has forgiven him to some degree, but I think that's the reason. Now, that being said, a lot of the guys, if what Mark Henry has said, if you guys have heard Mark Henry, who's as eloquent as anybody, has mentioned that it's about a 50-50 split in the locker room.
That's just, he didn't say that between the whole locker room, he said between the black folk in the locker room.
Right. Okay, yeah. So, and we know that when we've kind of seen we've seen the statements from Titus O'Neil, we've seen the statements from New Day, and you can go into detail on those if you want to.
Yeah.
But I think
the next,
those were very well said, well written, well spoken things, and they were very on the nose, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think if that's it was the perfect response,
Mm-hmm.
And then of course there's guys like Cedric Alexander who's gotten heat. He tweeted brother.
No, he's very happy.
Yeah, and everyone came after him. So I think one thing we have to remember and I'm going to let you talk here in a minute, but I haven't been here in 3 weeks, so just let me, let me get
No,
it.
hey, I'm not gonna stop you, man. Please.
I think that you and I can feel a certain way about something, whether we agree or disagree, and we can have a conversation.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't think it's, and you might find this different, but I don't know that the best way to have a discussion is to come after someone. So if you think Cedric Alexander is wrong for his support or whatever you want to call it, if it's even support, or when he says, I don't have to like someone personally to respect them professionally, far be it from me to tell Cedric Alexander how to feel about a guy like Hulk Hogan using that kind of language. Okay. I'm not going to be like, oh, are you kidding me, Cedric Alexander? Like, you're a dumbass, you're a piece of shit. Are you kidding me? Like, you're supposed to be all for this or all for that. I don't live in that world where I tell people how to think and how to feel, but I do live in a world where I think we should try and have a conversation. And so for someone like Cedric, I don't think it's fair that people were just coming after him. I really don't, because he's able to feel how he wants to feel, whether we like it or not.
Okay.
And I don't think he was being necessarily. I mean, if you feel like it's disrespectful, that's how you feel, And so far be it for me to tell you how to feel about it. But obviously, I'm a white guy, so this is like I have to. I mean,
You
I
don't have
can't
to put that
understand how.
caveat. Not on this show, not with me. You know that.
Well, I know, but I don't have to feel. I don't have to like get.
It doesn't affect you.
Well, yeah, I'm not in the way it does for you or
Yeah.
someone. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't say that kind of shit. But I don't. At the same time, like, this is. We know what comes with that term. We know
Yeah.
the meaning behind that.
Me
I know
and
it.
you live
You
in the
know it.
South.
Yeah, and yeah,
You live
and
in Arkansas. I live in Texas. So
I've
yes.
heard it millions of times over the course of my life. So, I mean, I want, like, I feel like for you, it's got a deeper pain and meaning because it's something that actually people will say that to you. They won't say that. They're not going to say that to me. Yeah, have, of course. And people don't say that to me. They're not going to say that to me. So I don't feel the same pains. And I hope that's not offensive to anybody listening, but I'm trying to be real about it. I understand where you're coming from, but I think you're probably more well versed to take the reins from here and kind of talk about how you feel about it.
Okay.
And we'll just go from there. So that's my piece.
Well, let me start with Cedric first. I don't feel bad for Cedric because he didn't have to say anything.
Sure.
That's the problem. Nobody has any issue with anybody feeling how they want to feel. Well, let me say I say nobody. Most people don't have an issue with people feeling how they want to feel about a certain situation. The issue is, of course, in the perfect world, in a utopia, we'd all feel correctly about things. And yes, feeling that black people are inferior is wrong. That's not an opinion. It is an factual wrong thought process.
Yeah.
So let's fix that right now because some people will say, well, it was just his opinion. No, an opinion isn't that a group of people are worse than you, dog. That's not an opinion.
No.
But Cedric didn't have to say anything. So because he said something, then he opened himself up for people to say something back, which is the problem, which is why I don't feel bad for him. I understand his situation though, and let me speak to that real quick. There's been a lot of hot takes about Hogan and about, well, if you don't support Hogan, I'm not to support Hogan. If you support Hogan or you don't have a problem with this, then you're racist. I have an issue with that.
Right.
Um, Let me say before I even say my issue, let me say that I don't think he should be back. I
Okay.
don't think I wish we would have recorded this like a day or so ago
Right.
because I've talked to you, I've talked to Kyle, Ricky, and Clive, some other people, and everything that the New Day and Titus said is what I said. So I wish I would have had said it first on air, so I could have said they bit me. But you know, what I was saying was that there's no way that you can take away Hulk Hogan's accomplishments from from WWE. There's You cannot separate the two, right?
Sure.
And this isn't a situation in which Hogan, and I'm gonna speak frankly here, okay? Hogan didn't kill anybody. Hogan didn't rape anybody. So Hogan didn't do something that is such that would that I, I think there are levels to being supported. For example, Chris Benoit should never be in the Hall of Fame,
Sure.
right? And that's not to say that you can't understand what he did, But what he did, I think, takes away from what his accomplishments. Bill Cosby. Cosby Show was a great show. Cosby did a lot for the world of comedy, but what he did usurps all that good. Unfortunately, but it is what it is, right? Hogan isn't that far to me. What Hogan did was embarrass himself massively, let down an entire group of people, and show the bigot he is, right?
Yeah.
So that's a bit different than physically hurting people and changing people's lives, right? There's a much deeper conversation with that, and I realize that I could go a lot deeper in, but I don't want to for the purposes of time. But so I say that to say that Hogan, much like Titus and Kofi said, absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
100%. That's fine. Most people don't have a problem with that. I don't think he should ever be promoted or working for the company again. That's
Right.
my issue. If you make a dime from that company, I got a problem with it. There ain't no problem with him being in um ain't no problem with him being in the Hall of Fame. I don't have a problem with residuals of old shirts he has out or old DVDs because that's all before the situation. But if a new Hogan shirt comes out, I'm gonna be pissed. If Hogan
Sure.
shows up on TV today, I'm gonna be pissed. That video he did with the Superstars of Hope that they took down super fast because they cut the comments off and knew that it was super tone deaf and took it off within a few
Right.
hours, that pissed me off. That's a problem. But he does his accomplishments don't deserve to be taken away. I don't
Sure.
think. Right? So getting back to Cedric and the bigger picture is we as human beings, we're able to compartmentalize. That is one of our better traits from a mental perspective, right?
Sure.
If I may, black people, we've compartmentalized 300 years of oppression,
Hmm.
right? We all compartmentalize things. So when it comes to our heroes, there are. You're 33. You just turned 33 because you have the
Yep.
same birthday as me. I just turned 30.
Yeah.
There are people in our age range and definitely 15, 10 to 20 years older than us that grew up with Hulk Hogan as their hero.
Absolutely.
Hulk Hogan was everything that represented good to them for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
So people compartmentalize what they want to. So I don't think if you're happy Hogan's back because you're a Hogan fan and he meant something to your life, I don't think that makes you a racist. It makes you willfully ignorant, but it doesn't make you racist. And let me flip it for you. I'm a Floyd Mayweather fan.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather beat his baby mama almost to the point of death.
Sure.
But you
Yeah.
know what though? When with them hands throwing on the ring, I ain't thinking about that, and that's on me. That's a problem I have that I have to own up to because I'm willfully ignorant. I say ignorant isn't a diss. Ignorant just means you don't know and willfully means you choosing not to know or to think about it, right?
Right. Well, I would say also this, like we're in, and this is good Lord. I hope nobody takes this as me being a specific kind of person. We
Sure.
are in a very much of a woke society where, like, you can say that someone who doesn't have a problem with Hogan is willfully ignorant, and then turn around and admit that you have your own problem by still supporting a guy like Mayweather or being a fan of Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
Well, someone listening to this is going to be like, well, I don't do that. The second someone does something, I'm done with them. Always, every time. And that's part of that mentality of like, oh, that's just you. So we can have this conversation, a very real conversation, because I'm the same way too. Floyd Mayweather is someone that I enjoy watching box. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a good human being.
No.
So, and it's in a lot of ways, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Hogan. Like I didn't grow up in the Hulkamania era per
Right.
se. I grew up more in heel Hogan. That was more
Attitude
when I
era.
started watching wrestling.
Attitude era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't have the affection, if you will, for Hogan that a lot of people that are older than me do.
Hmm.
So or even people that are my age that were watching before I was. So I don't have that for Hogan. So when with him being in the Hall of Fame or whatever, I don't give a shit. If they want to leave him out, fine. Doesn't bother me. Do I think, I agree with what you said, basically. I mean, we really are in agreement on this. I will say this. This is one problem. My bigger issue, and I want to talk about this because I think it's important. And I understand that these two wrestlers that I'm comparing here are different in their own ways in terms of accomplishments. Okay. And the argument has been thrown around about this person.
I know you're talking about.
It's China.
Yeah.
So we just talked about how Hogan didn't rape anybody or kill anybody, right? Well, but he did do something incredibly insensitive, sure. And everyone heard it. And you have African-American men working for your company and African-American people that are fans of your company, right?
And let me wait, quick. Yeah. Let me add. I want to add one more caveat to that.
Yeah.
The problem that a lot of people have is that he's never seemed contrite about it.
Right, sure.
Everything he's apologized for isn't that for how I felt, what I did, I'm a different person. He's always said, well, you know what? If I wouldn't have been recording, be careful because you never know what's recording you.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's a big part of it, too.
It sounds like he's more upset that he got caught more than anything else. But I just want to compare it to China for a second because China, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, nobody's ever come out and said it. I don't think they may have come out and said it. You may have that info. I don't know. China's not in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, because she got into porn after she left WWE. And got into porn is I would say it's not, I mean, she did like what, 1 or 2, 3 videos? I don't even know. It's not like she got into, she's not like.
No, she got into it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, she's not Jenna Jameson though. You know what I mean?
No, she didn't do like 1,000 films, but she did sign like a 5-film contract.
So
later on in her life. Yeah.
Like now, if you continue to leave someone out like her, just look foolish, in my opinion. Because really, like, when you talk about something like porn, and don't get me wrong, like, I understand that people don't like it or whatever, but they're not hurting anyone. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? There's
it's a job. Yeah.
It's a job, and it's what they want to do, and they're not, saying derogatory things about people, and they're not, like you said, raping or murdering people. They're working a job, right? So at this point now, if this is the precedent you're setting with Hogan, you have no reason not to have someone like China in the Hall of Fame. She's worthy, right? And of course, you would know that the WWE, the selection process is a bit arbitrary, but you can't keep beating around that bush and using that as an excuse to not put her in.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Let's back up a minute. So let's talk about China for a second, in relation to Hogan. First and foremost, Hogan was already in. They took him out, put him back.
Right.
China was never in. That's a big difference, okay? But let's talk about the China thing, okay? People are I don't want to say misinformed because that's not fair, but people are, okay, well, use the term that I used earlier, willfully ignorant to the China situation, okay?
Right.
It looks like, oh, well, just porn, right? People take the Triple H interview with Stone Cold as, oh, well, it's just porn, right? No. Let's be real about this, okay? First and foremost, this woman didn't just do porn. Sonny's done porn. Big deal. China did a parody of all WWE superstars.
Right.
Not only that, but she dressed up as Stephanie and fucked a fake Vince McMahon. So this isn't just porn. Okay? Number one. Number two, I'm going to ask you this. Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall just got into the Hall of Fame 2 and 3 years ago, I think, or 3 and 4, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Right? What weren't they in before?
I really don't know the answer to that. I would imagine it had to do with you could say, most people would say it had to do with their substance abuse issues.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
The fear was that if you put them on the stage in their stupor and their inebriation as they were, then anything could have happened. I
get that. Remember, China's dead. Johnny Laurer is dead now.
But she's only been dead 2 years.
I understand that, but you don't have to now. If you do put her in, you don't have to bring her out there.
But that's not the issue. The issue isn't now, because clearly she's going to get in now. The issue was why she wasn't already.
Right.
And people forget that she was a horrible addict for most of her life. Not most of her life. I'm sorry. Most of her post WWE life.
Yeah.
Right. She was a horrible addict. And look, I'm not singling her out. Roberts, Hall, Waltman, A lot of people were, right? So this isn't a diss towards her. The difference is Jake and Scott not only got clean, but they stayed clean for a while long enough to show the company that, hey, you good. God
Yeah.
bless China's soul. She didn't make it long enough to show the company that we can move past that, right?
Right.
But, and then another thing is, you know, people want so badly to hate anything WWE or management, Vince, Triple H, Stephanie, right? So yes, did China get a Raw deal because Triple H started dating the boss's daughter and China was kind of left out in the open? Absolutely, absolutely. Was she
Yeah.
fucked over? No,
No, not
no,
really. No, I don't think so.
no. But she did get a Raw deal. I'm not gonna sit there and say she didn't. But to have the thought process that this is this big collusion that China's not getting her just due because Triple H and Stephanie are holding this grudge when when they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars with three beautiful kids. Come on, dog. Like it's ridiculous to think these things.
I don't think that is. I don't think that's
But
it.
but
I
I'm
really
not
don't.
talking to you. This is
Right. I know.
what the fan base is saying.
Right.
This is what because that's what that's why they believe China wasn't in to begin with.
Right.
Right? But they're not talking about the fact that it took Macho Man, one of the 10 biggest superstars in wrestling history, to get in all these years. I talk about all the times it's taken. Owen's still not in. We know why, but right. But all these people who are major, who, in no offense to China, are much more important to the je ne sais quoi of wrestling, have not got in, aren't in, or took that much longer to get in than China. Right?
Right.
China's going to get in. Probably this year.
I mean, I think she will too. I do think I know there will be like I don't say she has to because Vince and them can do whatever the fuck they want to do, but and it's the
Well,
Hall of Fame, like
yeah, and
whatever.
it's big work too. Like it's not real.
Yeah. So, but I will say this, and of course, it's not like Vince McMahon is immune or he can't handle some criticism. They deal with it all the time.
Absolutely.
But if they continue to skip on her, say they skip on her for this year, the next year, the year following, I do think people are absolutely going to use this Hogan thing to throw in their face because
Yeah, probably.
Even though Hogan was already in, like we discussed, he was taken out and didn't have to get reinstated, right? They never had to do that either, but they forgave him for his, transgressions or whatever. And
Yeah.
once again, I also understand the gravity of what Hogan means to the wrestling business in comparison to China. But at the same time, we can talk about China. What she means to the women's side of wrestling is huge.
I disagree with
ways.
that slightly. I disagree with that slightly.
Okay.
And the reason I disagree with that slightly is I'm not gonna sit here and be a fool and say she doesn't mean a lot. I'm not gonna say she doesn't mean a lot, but I think what she meant to women's wrestling is different than what she meant to women.
Okay, that's
You
fair.
know what I'm saying? And the reason I say this is because the majority of her entire career, she barely faced women. It was always against men. So she's not helping women's wrestling. She's helping women, and that's bigger than women's wrestling.
Okay.
Right?
Well, that's fine.
But if you look at it in the bubble of helping women's wrestling, she's not in the top 10.
Yeah, you're probably. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, she didn't fight women.
Take off the word wrestling. That's fine.
Sure. In fact, and I want to make this point because it's very salient. She didn't want to wrestle women. She thought they were below her for the longest.
Right.
So watch who you deify. Watch the people, and Hogan is the perfect example of that, right? When you said something a little earlier that basically you were saying something to the order of I don't remember the exact way you said it, but I think the point was you don't know who you're supporting, right? So all these years, people loved Hogan, right? We didn't know that he was a racist the whole time.
No, we didn't.
Right? There's people right now, not all, Stone Cold, right? The Rock, Vince. There's people that you don't know the truth behind a person that's on television. You don't know what they really are like in real life.
You could say Stone Cold's a perfect example because we know for a fact
he's a woman beater.
In trouble for beating on Deborah.
Yeah.
So
well, not just Deborah, but his first wife too, I think.
I didn't know about his first wife, but
definitely Deborah. But
that's where so we know a little bit about him.
Right.
You
So
know?
the point I'm trying to make is watch who you put on the pedestal. Hogan is a perfect example, but people are trying to die on this China hill. She deserves her just due, but watch the hills you're willing to die on.
Right. I'm not. I mean, yeah, for sure. This is a fan base thing. I'm not willing to die on the China Hill. I do think she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
But you know, Owen's not in. We know that. We know why.
Hmm.
And then he may never get in, or at least not until Martha passes away, right? But
Unfortunately, yeah.
so, you know, it's just you can kind of see it. You can like I'm just kind of like visualizing ahead. If, for instance, she's not put in this year, this topic is going to rear its head again. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think a good way to put it to bed is to go ahead and put her in now and just put it to bed. Because why?
Yeah.
Like, why have to? Like, she deserves to be in. There's no way. Surely Vince McMahon doesn't think she doesn't. Coco Beware's in there for God's sake. Okay, The
Yeah.
Godfather. I mean, come on. Like,
But
no offense to The Godfather, but you know,
okay, but then look at the format they have. The format recently they've had is there's a headliner, there's another guy there's another
yeah,
act that's a, upper mid card act. There's a tag team. There's
absolutely,
a
yeah.
jobber. There's a comedy act. There's a woman, and there's the celebrity and the warrior thing.
No, yeah, sure.
So they've had their format for about 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I'm not like I'm just saying like it's not in terms of like deserving. We agree she should be in.
Oh,
So
absolutely. But I mean, yes. Okay. Yes. 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 Absolutely. She not only does she deserve to be in, I'll even up the ante. She should have been in a long time ago. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
so you know it is what it is. I don't want to keep harping on all this, but like I just think that I mean they're going to do what they're going to do. It doesn't matter to me. I don't even watch the Hall of Fame ceremonies or anything like that. I really don't care who they put in personally, but I bring it up because I think it's somewhat relevant. I think especially when Hall of Fame time comes around, if they don't, we're gonna be talking about this shit again, and I don't want to talk about
I
it again.
don't
To be
either,
honest.
man. But I think it is relevant to bring it back to the ultimate point. I think it is relevant because more than anything else, when you hit your wagon to a guy with the baggage that Hulk Hogan has, and let's say hit your wagon back to this guy,
Mhm.
you open yourself up for so many other things that you didn't have to open yourself up to,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
and they've
That's the
earned that.
bottom line about it, really.
Yeah, they have absolutely earned that criticism.
Yeah, and they're not shy about getting criticism. I mean, this is the same. You know, there was a whole deal about the fabulous moolah, right? The battle royal thing or whatever.
Boy,
I mean, you know, and that one, enough people said enough to get that taken care of. I don't know
well, the people didn't get
how
it
the
taken care
Hogan
of.
thing is going to play out.
The sponsor took their care. Well,
Right.
but then again, like I said, if he is being promoted, then absolutely we all should be pissed. He's not being promoted yet. And
No.
forgive me for. And by the way, the report, two reports were false about that night when he came back in Pittsburgh. The two reports that were wrong were the Titus didn't leave
Right.
because of that. That's not true. And most importantly, there was no recording. The backstage where he talked the meeting, where he
Right.
came back and apologized and to the people and said that, hey, you know what, just, I want you guys to make sure that you, not that you want. He didn't say, hey, make sure you look at people equally. And no, he said, oh, hey, be careful who's watching you.
Right.
But that wasn't recorded.
Yeah, I know. I heard that too.
So
So yeah.
yeah, so there, it's you got to be careful what you believe.
That's
Um,
true. A lot of fake news out there.
well, yeah, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna stop it there before we get any deeper. We do need to move on. So we're not gonna really break down Extreme Rules. I'm sure we'll cite some stuff that happened in Extreme Rules, but one thing I do want to talk about is the whole Kurt Angle making Brock come back.
Well,
So,
yeah.
and he was real clever the way he worded it. Vince was real clever the way they wrote it. He said, either you need to show up to Raw, you need to show up, you need to come to terms on when you're going to defend your title next, or give me that belt because it's not yours no more. Of course, Heyman
Yeah.
came back. They came to terms on a match at SummerSlam, and the two triple threat matches, right? The first triple threat match, I believe, was Roman,
Drew Mack and Finn.
Drew McIntyre, and the second one was Elias, Lashley, and Seth, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Roman and Lashley won the rest of this week. So there's a lot of issues about that. One, people are upset that it's just Roman again. Okay.
Right.
Two, it's Roman and Lashley again when they just wrestled at Extreme Rules, even though that match was not for a contendership. It was just a beef match.
Right. It was just a
Right.
match.
But then I think the most ardent point has been that, well, why was Roman in the match to begin with? Because he lost. Elias hadn't been on TV in 3 weeks. Well, nobody got a problem with that.
What's Drew Mack done?
He beat Seth last week, but other than that, not too much recently.
I mean, he's basically been a bodyguard
Right.
for the most part, or a tag team partner.
Right. And Seth lost the night before. Did he get cheated? Sure, but at the end of the day, it's a loss. So I mean, and I can understand. You can talk me in to understanding Seth and Drew being in the match. You can talk me into that. But you cannot sit here and be mad that Roman got another opportunity and then be cool with Elias getting an opportunity he doesn't even nearly closely deserve.
No, he doesn't. And in terms of the kayfabe world, no, he doesn't. Going back to before we talk about the triple threat part of it, those two matches, going back to what Kurt said, I think it's very good that you pointed out the way it was worded. Because when Brock didn't show up Monday, there were people on the interwebs losing their minds. Strip him of the title. He was supposed to be stripped. You said if he didn't show up, he'd be stripped. When that wasn't what was said at all.
Yep.
The term "or" was in there for a reason. There wasn't
3 options.
Yeah, there were. I mean, it's. I understand Kurt Angle can be a little hard to understand these days, but we all heard it. I think if you didn't, you need to go back and listen.
Yep.
So that you know. Yeah, and so that's just that. I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
As far as the triple threat matches go, look, we all know there is no what's the word, template, or there are no guidelines for who's going to be number one contenders in WWE. They do all kinds of different shit. I mean, you saw it the other day on SmackDown. If Becky Lynch beats Carmella, she's the number one contender. And I could go on and on about how I don't really care about that and the way they do that, but they do that. They throw people in triple threats. They sometimes they have tournaments. Sometimes they just
you're the
announce
number one
it.
contender. Yeah.
And which they're going to do next week with AJ Styles. They just do things. Like I even said the other day that hell, they just might as well have kept the top 10 list. Like, I mean, why not?
Let's not go that far.
No, I know, but I mean, hey, number one guy in the top 10 list that isn't the world champ, he's the number one contender. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, there's all kinds of things they do. Like, there's no set way about who gets what opportunity. What I would ask is, and just really sit back and be real and think about it.
Okay.
Of the 6 guys that were chosen,
Mhm.
who are you going, including Elias? Who else are you going to replace them with? And I mean that sincerely. I'm not saying there aren't guys. But, like, let's talk about it, okay? Braun Strowman, to me, is out, okay? Because he even said, I got the briefcase. I don't need to be involved in the triple threat. I got the briefcase.
Okay.
Kevin Owens, for all we know, is dead. He got thrown off a cage,
Absolutely.
right?
Rest in peace.
He's not coming back the next day. Sami Zayn is injured, okay? So there's 3 guys that just marked off, just like that. Dolph Ziggler, you can maybe make an argument for him as the Intercontinental Champ.
You can't maybe make an argument. Dolph Ziggler is the top champ on Raw every week. He should have been involved.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. He's someone you could have, but you would have replaced Elias before you would replace Roman.
Absolutely.
So
Bobby Roode is the other guy.
Yeah, Bobby Roode is a guy.
I'm not saying he should have been, but I'm just saying if
right.
we're gonna name people off. Corbin and Roode are the only other 2 guys that you would name, and maybe Jinder. Those other 3 guys that you could throw in there just to even cross your mind.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like the options are slim, really. Like they definitely went with you had Lashley, you have Roman, you have Finn, you have Seth, and for the most part, those guys. I mean, you can say what you want about Roman, but those guys are portrayed as pretty decent fellas. Drew Mack and who's the other guy? Elias. They're heels. That's what they are.
Mhm.
So even though Elias is over as fuck, he still knows how to get booed. But my point being is that they went a little quote unquote, and it's really flimsy. They went a little one more face than normal. They went 4-2, in my opinion, depending on how you feel about Roman Reigns.
Well, Roman's
So
not a face, but
right,
yes,
but depending on how you feel about him, that's
absolutely.
So they could have taken him out and put a Jinder Mahal or a Corbin in there, but why? They're not going to bring any more notoriety to those matches. They're not. I mean, I like Jinder Mahal as much as the next guy. I like Baron Corbin. I don't like
And
Bobby Roode,
and hold
but
on. And can I make a point real quick
yeah,
about the Roman's inclusion? Just strictly Roman's inclusion.
yeah,
So we're gonna talk about the Iron Man match later on in the show,
yeah,
but the Iron Man match brought to light more than ever not only the hypocrisy of fans, but the fact that fan I'm not gonna say fans don't know what they want because I feel that way, but let me be more politically correct. Fans don't seem to equally show that they know what they want and they give what they want and they still want it. Let me explain what I mean in relation to Roman, right?
right.
Fans say that they want number one contendership matches and matches to matter. Well, there's no bigger name on Raw than Roman. But then in the same breath, they say, well, we want something different. We want new people. Well, then why are you not complaining that Elias was? It's the things that are involved with that match don't the complaints don't make sense. I understand you have an issue with Roman lost. Of course he did. Sure. But then if that's the case then everybody who lost should have been in the match.
Yep,
But
Seth,
then
he lost. He shouldn't
right,
be in either.
right? And then people even saying that, well, we want Seth, they won't give us Seth. Well, you just booed him. You just talked about a clock the entire match last night in his main event. So like the
Yeah,
things aren't matching. So if nothing else, and more importantly than this, most importantly, Roman won. Right. Lashley won, right?
yeah,
The importance of that match now is much higher than it would have been if it was anybody else. Don't you
yeah.
think?
Well, what do you mean by that? Like, be
Okay.
more specific.
Okay. Roman was the last
Because
guy eliminated.
I was going to say that. I just want to say this real quick because I don't think it's not the matchup that I would have wanted to see personally. Not because I didn't think the
Me
match
neither.
the night prior was good. I don't. If you think it's the best matchup for the story, I can get with you on that.
I think it's the best matchup for the story.
Okay, if that's what you're getting at, then I get it. Because I personally would have wanted to see Roman and Seth. That's what I would have wanted to
Me
see.
too. Me too. But
Because of the respect factor and kind of seeing that whole thing.
yeah, but then I also think that it needs to be Lashley versus Brock because Brock might not never wrestle a match again.
Yeah.
And that's the one match Lashley came back for that match.
So you think that this is leading to Lashley and Brock for SummerSlam?
I think that Drew McIntyre and Dolph are going to attack Roman in the match and cause him to lose, which is going to
Okay.
lead to a Drew Roman, Seth, Dolph type of either tag team or full on feud because they ain't forgot that Roman helped Seth out last month.
Sure.
They ain't forgot, which I think will lead eventually to Dean coming back and something happening.
Right. Okay. That's fair. In that case, if they're going with Lashley, obviously that makes more sense. I think just, what I wanted to see with Rollins and Roman is just because it's Rollins and Roman.
Yeah,
I think I like that story. I like that with them being the Shield brothers and all that stuff, and we know Rollins' history and he's tried to come back from that and all that stuff. Like I like that. It's a long story that they continue to tell in certain ways, little bit piece by piece. Even when Rollins said, hey, got to do what I'm going to do. If I win, I think Roman would say the same thing, like those kind of things. So, I mean, I'll be the first to say it. I've told you this 1,000 times. We haven't talked much about Brock because, once again, fuck him. Like, I don't care about Brock. And, I'm ready. If I don't care. I've said it before. I don't care who takes the belt off of him. If it's Lashley, cool. If it's Roman, cool. Because they're not going to be – they're going to I mean, I know some people like the whole Brock as an attraction thing, and I get it, but it's overdue to me. Like I've been done. So let's just do. I
Well,
don't want to keep talking about that, but
yeah, no. And the issue isn't Brock not being an attraction or any of that. The issue is that Brock needs to show up just a little bit more than he has. But
yeah,
the problem is Brock. I think I don't want to talk about. I don't want to really get into this because I've talked about this ad nauseum on the show. But I think because we're such a knowledgeable fan base, and I use the word knowledgeable very, very loosely, um, we have to be worked differently than we were previously,
right,
right? So you can't. The reason everybody loved the Hardy Boys return at WrestleMania was because nobody legitimately knew.
right.
99% of the time, somebody would figure it out, right?
That's true. Yeah, it gets leaked or
So
something. Yeah,
yeah, so you can't just they can't keep a real surprise or a storyline that they're working on that's gonna be huge and hit everybody with it. Like I've said on the show before, and this is I'm not saying this to diss the dude or say it negatively. I think it's awesome. But Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp has the actual raw scripts before the show every week.
mm-hmm.
And again, I think that's awesome. That's amazing journalism if you count this as journalism. You know what I'm saying? But so what I'm saying is that what Vince has done has effectively worked us so much to the point where we legitimately hate Brock, and Brock ain't doing but what he's been told to do. Brock ain't.
Yeah,
Not tell Brock don't. It's not that Brock don't want to show up. I tell him don't come. They're telling him don't come to
yeah.
make him that much more hated. The point is to okay. So normally this is the flip on dominance that we've never seen before. Because normally you have a dominant champion and they're dominant, but normally it's not that they'll either take all comers or they don't think people are worthy, but they'll still show the work. He's so dominant, he don't even think anybody's worthy enough for him to show up to look at him.
Right. Let me ask you this. Off topic, kind of off topic, on the
Okay.
same topic, but just different. Getting away from Brock for a second,
Okay.
because you are right about that. And I wanted to say before, and we can talk about it after the fact. I think one thing about WWE fans, wrestling fans in general, they like to see their champs. I think
That's
that's part
fair.
of the
I do too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's just part of it. Like UFC, you don't see them as often. I guess they're champs. Like you see them, but they don't fight every pay per view, right? Like the heavyweight championship isn't defended every single pay per view.
No,
So
yeah, but it's real fighting. So like
I
if
know
you
it.
get
No,
your
I
ass beat,
know,
it takes another three
but you
months
can get
to
away with that in UFC because of that fact. You know what I mean?
yes.
So in WWE, because we know it's a scripted sport, we want to see our guys. We want to see our
Sure.
champs. So,
Plus we
but
have 30 to 40 years of
precedent.
brainwash. Yeah.
I
Precedent.
mean, that's what we've been accustomed to. So this is fine because it's going to end eventually. But I want to ask you this: the idea is to get Brock so hated, right,
Hmm.
that we're just so sick and tired of him. Let me ask you this,
Yes.
and we'll talk about Lashley after, but I want to talk about Roman first. If for some reason they chose to go with Roman, okay, and I don't think they're going to either, by the way.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I don't think. Well, I do think they are, but I don't. I think they're going to go with a triple threat. That's what I think. But just say they don't.
Hmm.
Say they just go with Roman, okay, for argument's sake. Is it going to get shit on again? If
No.
Roman wins the title, is everyone going to be cheery, cheery, happy, happy? Honestly, or is
It's
it going
gonna
to get the WrestleMania reception?
is it gonna be 100%?
No,
No.
I know it's not going to be 100%.
No. But I think it'll be a lot more cheers than a lot of us are anticipating. Only for this one reason. People have gotten so reserved to the fact that I want a champion that they're like, I don't give a shit if it's Roman as long as I have a champion every Monday.
Yeah.
Right? So the joy of not having Brock did you see the pop that Kurt got when he just announced that Brock might get stripped?
Yeah. Well, they were chanting "strip the title."
Yes. So it doesn't matter who it is as long as it gets off of him. Now, will it be a when Jeff Hardy won the title and like everybody stood up and cried for like 10 minutes? No. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
What about Lashley? You think Lashley will get a better
A
response?
much better response because Roman helped Lashley get over to a certain extent with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, I think once people get over their initial bias or whatever, because Lashley is not the most uh whatever you want to call it, isn't the most charismatic guy, right? Any of this, but the allure of once it finally hits you, the allure of what those two guys can do if they just go out there and beat the holy hell of each other
Right.
will be tremendous. And most importantly, I think all of us expect, no matter what happens, that the show's gonna end with Braun Strowman as champion, and that's going to be over regardless of who wins that damn belt.
Well, see, and let me ask you, this is why I think, in a way, either Braun will insert himself in the match during the match, kind of like what Rollins did, or why, in a way, I could see them going with Roman. Because, well, if Brock were to win the match against Roman or Lashley, it works too. But if Lashley's the choice and he pins Brock,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like making Braun cash in would be a mistake. And the reason why I say that is because I know you talk about this with like lineage of the WWE Championship,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a Universal Championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would consider it the top title. African American man winning the top title in the WWE has not happened yet, ever.
No,
Right?
no,
But, I
that's
mean,
not true. That's not true.
you don't think that would be a problem?
No, I don't, because nobody cares about the Universal title to the level they do with the WWE Championship. No.
Okay.
And the only reason it's the main title that we think it is because the biggest star in the company holds it,
Right.
right?
I
But
was just curious kind of what you might think
no,
about that.
yeah, no, I don't.
Because
If it, now there will be real. Okay, so the issue isn't that a black man has never held the top title in WWE. A black man has never held the WWE Championship.
right.
And all respect to Rock, he's half black, half Samoan, but we kind of know him more as Samoan.
Right. Well, I
Right.
know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, right. But no, I don't think that'd be a problem at all. Plus, if we're honest, even the most woke of us wouldn't really give a shit because Braun's so over right now.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't think of it as, oh man, they put the black man down. It'd be Braun finally got the title.
I'll be honest with you. I think Braun is going to walk away from SummerSlam as a champ as well. But I do think Brock is going to win whoever he faces against. I do think Brock will win the match.
Brock would
Because
probably be
I think
Lashley, sure.
it would really build up that anger again, like, oh my fucking God. Brock just won again at SummerSlam, and we're not going to see him till Survivor Series, and then Braun comes out. I think that's the way to get your best pop, in my opinion. But, we'll see what happens.
Might work. I can see it.
As opposed to putting the belt on Bobby Lashley, and then just immediately taking it. I mean, granted, it's not like they've had any qualms doing that before, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I think it just had the anger behind you because if Brock wins again,
oh God,
the place is going to come unglued.
Yeah.
So just a thought.
No, I mean I'm down for it. I think we all can agree though that I don't. And man, look, with this dude, you can't guess, right? We all have predicted that Brock was gonna lose the title for forever, and he keeps winning. So I feel stupid even saying he's gonna lose it, but I really do feel like they know we got to put the title on Braun now because Brock is in fight mode.
Yeah, sure. Even though he's got to wait till like January to fight, doesn't he?
That's his fault. He could have
No,
been
no.
he could have been back in the U.S. side of the pool. That's his
Oh
fault.
yeah, I know. So yeah, okay.
So let's talk about another controversial topic on the eyes of the IWC. So Asuka lost again to Carmella.
Yeah.
Twice now.
Distractions both times.
Yes. This is her third, well, if you count the tag match, but I don't. But this is her third singles loss in her career.
Right.
Right? Twice to Carmella and to Charlotte at WrestleMania. So, you put some tweets out earlier this week, kind of talking about this. So, go ahead and tell people what you think.
Well, I've said this before, and I was kind of happy that they've done this. Lately, they've gotten away from it a little bit. I'm not a big fan of streaks. What I mean by streaks is these long, drawn-out streaks. And I'm not talking about Asuka specifically. I mean, hers, yes. But even like, you could go all the way back to like
Goldberg.
Brodus Clay, for God's sakes. Like when he was beating everybody, but they were nobodies, but he was just, they were just winning and winning. And it was irrelevant. It's just, they're just stacking up a number. Nothing ever comes of it. Something came of it with Asuka and her streak in NXT. WWE, not so much. Not much really came of it. You got the Charlotte Asuka match at WrestleMania. You got that. And that was kind of, the match, the thing that came from her streak per se as it carried over to WWE. I'm of the opinion that if you have compelling guys, you don't really need a streak. I mean, Ember Moon, she started out winning when she first came on, right? Well, she just lost to Sarah Logan last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that because, what's all that happens is you get people built up, and then nothing really comes of it anyway. So streaks don't do anything for me. The only streak that ever really worked for me was Goldberg. And because for the fact that you can say Andre the Giant, he never lost or whatever for 15 years or whatever, but Goldberg's streak was what made him relevant. And it worked at the time. At the time, it worked. And I feel like sometimes people kind of hope they can catch that lightning in a bottle by doing streaks like Asuka, but it's not going to ever happen again. I just don't see the right person coming along and having this long drawn out streak where we are just so like you saw when Goldberg beat Hogan for the title on our Monday Nitro. I mean, the place came unglued, right? You're not really I don't think you're going to get that anymore. And
you're not going to get that anyway in this day and age. But
yeah, exactly. So to me, I just don't like streaks in general. But I'll say this. She lost at WrestleMania. The streak's been over. I don't care that Asuka lost twice to Carmella. I don't. And if it hurts people's feelings, if they're up in their feelings about it, oh well. Like, Asuka is going to win the Women's Championship at some point, okay? She's going to win it. Carmella, right now, I like Carmella. Everyone hates on her and likes to talk about how she can't wrestle and whatever. I don't give a fuck because she's a compelling character. Like, she gets on your nerves. She eats at you. You can't stand the chick. That's the whole point. And that's why she's good. I like Carmella. Of course, she's not, and she's not like she's beating Asuka 1, 2, 3 clean in the middle. It's not like something's happening every time. You know what I mean? So it's people get too caught up with these Asuka losses or whatever. The only part she's lost one match to Charlotte with no nefarious means at all. The Carmella matches are misnomers because Carmella's just getting away with murder. She's doing what heels do. And we talked about this before. We talked about this. When Asuka was free of the streak, she was free to start losing matches, and they can do it in different ways. She can lose by someone cheating or countouts and stuff like that. She can start losing matches in different ways. We talked about this because eventually you have to start losing matches, and you have to start losing matches in different ways. It's not Asuka's still a badass. It's not like she stopped being a badass because she lost to Carmella twice. That's my piece. Starting to get frustrated. So, yeah, I'm spitting the fire. I haven't been on the show in a while, so yeah.
Let it out. Let it out. Let
That's
me
it for now.
let me talk about Goldberg real quick, and I'm gonna make a bigger point that I'm gonna kind of come back to Asuka with. Okay.
Okay.
Goldberg streak didn't work. Ultimately.
No, ultimately it did not. You are right about that.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because once Goldberg lost, people didn't care as much.
Sure.
Right? Why didn't they care as much, Rance? I'm glad you asked, Rance. The answer is because Goldberg's streak never allowed him or necessitated him to have a character.
Sure. Yeah.
Which goes back to Asuka. And I hate streaks for the same reason. Every streak is made to be broken. Every streak is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You talked about Andre to lose 15 years. He lost to Hogan.
Undertaker. WrestleMania streak.
WrestleMania. Like every streak is meant to be broken. So I give Asuka. I asked Clive this yesterday, and I want you to answer the question for me. And answer it honestly. If you disagree with me, great. But I want you to be honest about it, okay? From the moment Asuka debuted in NXT until the Royal Rumble, I even give you to WrestleMania, okay?
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason Asuka was over more? Was it because of Was it because of her character, or was it because she always won?
Ugh, that's tough. I mean, because one, I don't watch a ton of NXT, but the reason why she was over with me was because she was a badass in the ring. I
That's
liked the
the
way she
same shit
was.
he said. That's a cop out answer because
No, but I'm not saying that's the overall general consensus.
yeah.
I'm saying that's how I feel. I would say that's tough. Does she really? I mean, her character's kind of whatever, right? But I think I would still say her character
Okay. I disagree with you.
because I mean she is interesting. Asuka is interesting, and she has
How?
to me she has. See, you don't see it, obviously. I could hear it in your voice,
No,
but
but I really want you to tell me what is her character. Like,
like
and hold on real quick. Hold on real quick. Let's run down all the women on SmackDown. Carmella is that Staten Island chick who is gonna talk a big game and can't back it up, but always ends up winning, right?
Mhm.
Like a real housewife. Okay. I'm serious. The Iconics
right,
are Mean Girls.
yeah,
Becky is the ultimate underdog who always continues to fight even though she doesn't get what she wants, right? Is that fair?
yeah, no, that's fine,
Okay.
yeah,
Charlotte is genetically superior. She was born into the business. She's better than everybody. She has a lineage that she has to live up to, and she's done that. Okay? Right?
yeah,
Naomi is a glowing raver dancer chick. Right?
right,
Lana is the wife of a Bulgarian brute, proud of her Russian heritage, who loves to dance as well, but is the mastermind behind this buzzsaw of a man. These are all characters, right?
right.
What's Asuka's?
Well, see, I find Asuka, and you're not going to agree, and it's fine, but I find Asuka to be kind of she's a bit of a mysterious type to me. Like
That's not a character.
she's got the quirks and she's got the. I mean, you're not seeing me on video, but I'm doing like the kind of like weird
Yeah, but
fancy movie shit that she does, and she's also I
that's
think
because
you
she's
can be
just
a
because she's
badass in the ring,
foreign.
and that can be your character though.
No, it
Because
can't.
I disagree because people have talked about this before. Roman can just be the badass that he is in the ring. He can just go out there and that's what he can be. He doesn't have to be heel or face. He can just go out there and spear people and say a couple words and Superman punch him. And we're happy with that because Roman's being the badass that he is. And Asuka to me can be this. If he can be that, why can't she?
You're
Not on the
missing
same
me.
level.
You're missing me. What you do and who you are different.
Okay, so then Roman has no character, right?
That's the problem. That's why people don't like him.
But see, I don't think he doesn't have a character.
I don't either. But
That's what I think Oscar does, though, is what I'm saying, because I think that can be, to me, that's a character. It may
okay.
not be the character that's generally accepted by anybody or whatever, but to me it is.
I disagree with that. So Roman's character is that he, number one, he came from a group of guys that cared so much about success that they broke into the business any way they could, tore the house down, right?
Mm-hmm.
From that, the next layer was, well, you know what? I have a bloodline. I am from one of the most popular and strong families in wrestling history. It's almost similar to Charlotte, right? Or
Sure.
Cody Rhodes or the Rock, because clearly you know what I'm saying? That he
Yeah.
has his bloodline
Yeah.
that he's
Yeah.
always living up to. And third and most importantly, Roman is just like Kevin Owens was a guy that fights for his family. Now
Yeah.
there's three things I've told you about his character, not about what he does or who he is. Name me three things about Asuka's character.
Okay, well, hold on though, because this is why I have a problem with this argument because you've got like your reasons for your characters, what you define as a character work, but my reasons for what I define as a character don't. And I have a problem with that because I feel like we all see characters differently, or we should. I don't think we should just be able to see something and say, "Oh, well, that's not a character because I say so."
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
like to me, that's a problem. That is like I see her as a character. She has to me. I've always thought she can't do a promo very well, but she's always been very good at getting her point across. She has very good quirks and things in the ring. I've always enjoyed watching her, not just the wrestling part, but just the stuff she does. Like when she's in the ring and she's kind of talking shit. You can go back and watch some of her matches with Ember Moon. I mean, for a while they were developing her as someone like oh shit, she's about to lose, right? So she's having to cheat now. Like she cheated to be
That
able
was
to
a real
win.
character, absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
So they haven't gone back to that well necessarily with her in WWE, that's on them. They can use that if they wanted to. She's already lost anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not like now she has to have a streak to protect. So now that she's lost, they've got to. I mean, she needs more. I will agree that she needs more in terms of character development. You could say that. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura was the same way. He needed more. He couldn't just be the guy with the cool music and the weird like shit he does in the ring forever. He needed something, and they gave him something. Right? He became the nut-shotting, no-speak English character.
But, okay, so let me explain the difference between, because I don't want you to feel like I'm being unfair to you with my thought process. But let me explain the difference. Okay, the difference is I always go by what's canon. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going by my opinion on something. I'm going by what's told to us on television. Every time Roman talks, he talks about his bloodline. Not talking about Joe Anoa'i when he's being interviewed in real life. I'm talking about on camera. He talks about his bloodline. He talks about winning the big fight. He talks about providing for his family. Am I wrong?
No, not usually.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
These days, he's just kind of like a shit talker. But yeah, it's fine.
Sure. Well, he's been pushed so
Right.
much, right?
He's in denial too. But go ahead.
Right. Okay. Now with Asuka, I understand she doesn't speak English, but what the
Not
commentary not well. Well,
Really, maybe not at all.
she doesn't speak English at all. Like I
Yeah.
know some Spanish words, and man speak Spanish. The commentators or the vignettes have told us nothing about her character other than she wrestled good. That's not a character.
But I'm not talking about her wrestling though. Like I feel
You
like
say she's badass. Badass can't be a badass
Right.
isn't a wrestling character to me.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, if that's how you see that, that's fine. But I don't think everybody has to see it that way. And at the same time, I'm also telling you that I think you can have a character in the confines of a wrestling ring, but it doesn't like I said, she's got all her this is a good example. Like I can't believe I'm pulling this name out of a hat, and he has a character outside of the ring too. But Goldust, right? All the weird shit he does in the ring, all that weird shit he does, where he's getting up in your face and snapping his teeth at you and all that stuff, where he's all that crap.
Yeah. The breathing and stuff, yeah.
Asuka has interesting little quirks like that in the ring. Now I haven't been watching SmackDown that much lately, so if she stopped doing all that stuff, that's one thing. But I mean, there's what was it? Was it Ember? This is back in NXT, of course, when Ember tore her shoulder up, and they were having their match, and Ember had that shoulder injury, and Asuka's kind of laughing at her in the ring and pointing at her shoulder and doing all that stuff. Like she has in-ring characteristics that work for me, and for me, it's hard for her because of the fact that I do think the English thing is a problem. And I think we've kind of talked about that with Shinsuke, even though he speaks English, but I think we've talked about that before, that it's going to be a hindrance to these people on the main roster. And to me, once again, if you know this going in, I don't know what she's supposed to do. Like she can't get on there and cut a promo about her character.
No,
right?
You're right. Okay, so hold on. Let's back up. You're absolutely right. She has a character inside those ropes, right? You and I both know. We can't speak for the fan base listening, but you and I both know that the character inside those ropes don't sell shit. What gets you there is the character outside of those ropes, right?
Sure, I would agree with that. Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean by she has no character.
Well, see,
they're absolutely different.
Fair.
They're absolutely different. So in the scope of a streak, the problem with the streak is the streak doesn't become about building your character, right? About letting us know who you are as a wrestler, why you're wrestling, what wrestling means to you, what you feel about certain things, how you feel about other people. They don't know nothing about that because you just keep winning.
Right. Now I would agree. I do agree with that.
So when you lose, then people look at you as, well, you the person. We only cared about you because you won. What do you have to offer us? Asuka has nothing to offer us because she's losing now, which is the problem. So the entire time, that's why I hate streaks, because the entire time she was winning, they never thought that they needed to build a real, relatable, or understandable character.
Right. Well, I mean, so we have to put that on them. We can't put that on her.
No, I'm not. I never put it on her.
Okay, I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying.
Right.
With that said,
Right.
You have to put that on them because
absolutely.
She is limited by what she can say and what she can in the ring, so she needs something. It's the same thing with someone like this is going way back too, but like Tajiri, right? He's a Japanese wrestler. I speak very good English, but they made him kind of like spit green mist in your face or what. But I mean, what was his character? He was the Japanese buzzsaw.
Yeah, he didn't have much of a character on his own. When he was with other people, he had great character. But let me flip it for you. Let me give you somebody more recently. Andrade Cien Almas. So Andrade Cien Almas has always had a character.
Yeah.
Right? And he doesn't speak much English to begin with. When he started off, he was a playboy. Right?
Sure.
And then he was a playboy who had the lineage of the mask, took it off, and was out here living his best life. Kept losing. Right? Decided to turn on people and become evil because he was sick of losing. But instead of being sick of losing and instead of it motivating him to be better, he just said, screw it. I still got all the girls. I'm going to just bang them all when I want and stop caring about the matches. And then Zelina came, which is what redid his whole thing. But he had a truly discernible, understandable character. So it's not a language barrier. It's just that she doesn't have a character. Right?
I'm with you on that. But Andrade can speak English better than she can.
Not really.
To me, I'm not saying he's understandable, but I just don't know what they're supposed to do with her. Like, you have things with her. It's not like to me, like her look and everything has always been very interesting. So there's something they haven't capitalized on with her in terms of that. Because you can't sit here and tell me that Asuka, like when you see her, when she comes out and she's got the cool robe and the sweet ass mask and the cool music and she's got all that stuff, it's just like Shinsuke. It's there, but it has to be fleshed out. And there's only so much she can do to flesh it out, you know?
Right. But with Shinsuke, and I understand he speaks English, but with Shinsuke, when he was still the artist, right, before he turned heel,
yeah,
you know why he came out that way, because he was eccentric, because he was a rock star, because he looked at wrestling as the way he looked at wrestling like a painter looks at art. We understood that. So when he does the little ticks and the pop locking and all that stuff, we get it.
Right.
Asuka comes out with this super amazing mask and this really really robe and the walking and the hand. Why does she do that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That hasn't been explained by anybody, but she can't explain it. Like, I get what you're saying.
You said she can't explain it, but hold on. The best thing Asuka's ever done, even more than any match she's ever had, was the interview they had with her when she was at at poolside, talking about, I think it was Ember, and she was like, I'm the best. Who are they? Like, the interview was so good, and she was barely speaking in English. Or better yet, let her have a vignette where she's speaking Japanese and have some damn subtitles.
Right.
Like, there's no reason why. And this is more. I'm not blaming Asuka for this. This is on the company, but there's no reason why we don't know who she is. What is the mask for? Why does she wear the mask? That's important. Like, we know all luchadors wear the mask because that goes back to Aztec times. We know that means something to a luchador. What does she wear the mask for?
Another thing that I think has hindered her and I think the language barrier is a problem. Besides that, is you can go look at what they did with the Mae Young Classic or even the Cruiserweight Classic. Like, they were able to flesh out who these guys were in 60 seconds a little bit. Just by saying, okay, this is who they are, this is where they come from, this is what they're about, blah, 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 blah. And they can do that with the Mae Young Classic, but Asuka didn't get that advantage. She didn't have that. She didn't do all that. She came in and she started whipping everybody's ass. It goes back to the original point. Streaks suck.
That's the point.
Which we've been saying that, you know.
The reason she didn't have that was because she didn't have to, because she was winning.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Right? So they never thought, it was never necessary for her to have to explain anything because she was winning. And of course she has great matches. So yeah, that smooths stuff off. But now that she's lost, and of course she's lost to a person who we all know very clearly is not as good as her.
Right.
Right? Losing by the dumbest ways possible because you got distracted because a dude dressed up like you and because a guy was hanging from his foot from a cage and you were so focused on him instead of focusing on the girl in the match. Dumb ways. Now the fans don't believe in you no more. And think about it. the fans don't believe in Asuka because she's lost 3 times, but then Becky lost for a whole year and a half. She's the most over person on the brand. It goes to show you that they care about Becky because she has a character. We don't care about Asuka because she doesn't.
Well, to me, it goes to show that they don't really care about Asuka, honestly. Because
Well,
to me, they've just made her look stupid. I mean, and not losing to Charlotte. I was once again fine with her losing to Charlotte. We'll always be fine with her losing to Charlotte, except for the fact that they didn't have a plan in place. They didn't.
I disagree.
They had her lose to Charlotte, and that was it. What was the plan? Because they didn't have a character for her.
I think you're right, but I think the plan is for her to snap. Because she's so used to winning, and she's so used to winning, and so and this is just an assumption, and we need to move on because we talk. I didn't know we were gonna talk about Asuka this damn long.
It was more about character and what is and isn't. But yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but we got to keep it moving. But I think that the whole what they're gonna try to tell was that either that she wasn't fully prepared for what the main roster entailed, or she lost her focus with all the bright lights or some bullshit, and she's tired. She got tired of losing the people she knows she should have beat because her head wasn't in the game, and she's gonna get her head back in the game, and she's gonna come back and she's gonna murder everybody.
Right. Good. I'd like to see that because I do like her. I've always liked her, but I mean, you're right. I don't care about her, but to me, I don't. If you want to say she doesn't have a character, that's fine. I'm not going to argue and say that you're wrong. I don't think that you're wrong. That's how you feel about it. But it's there if they want to take advantage of it. They just need to start explaining things. There's like an outline. Would you at least admit that there's an outline for a character if they want to use it, but they just haven't done it?
I wouldn't even say there's an outline. I would say that there are morsels that you can put a story together with, but
Sure.
but there's no coherent outline yet.
Cool.
I don't think. But there are definitely very, very strong ideas that you can take from here and here and here and then make that a coherent story from that. Yes.
So fire Road Dogg.
I'm not gonna co-sign that one
kidding.
bit. Because remember, Asuka only been there for like 3 months.
Oh yeah, I know.
Right? Raw did a lot of the damage. I want to talk about Sasha and Bayley since we're talking about women for a second.
Okay.
So I know you've been a very, very big you've been big criticizing the story, right?
I have, yeah.
And I've been one that's actually enjoyed the story, and we could talk about that if we want to. But I really want to touch on what happened Monday. So as you guys know, they've been turning on each other and fighting and teaming and this, that, and the other. Well, finally, Bayley had it about maybe a month or so ago to beat the hell out of Sasha. Kurt talked to her, and Kurt made her go to counseling with Sasha, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they did that for 2 weeks, and they came back, and Bayley told Kurt, we tried. I think Sasha really tried. I really tried. It just ain't working. I don't think we're gonna be able to be friends anymore. And Kurt told her that you guys are more valuable together. So if you guys need to tag, you're gonna tag tonight. We're gonna try to make it work one more time. And if it doesn't work, when y'all gonna get traded to SmackDown, they go out and they have a tag match. And in the tag match, Sasha goes out of her way to protect Bayley at a certain point against Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox. And I think the match ended in disqualification, whatever. But in the backstage, Bayley was like, "What are you doing? Why? You want to stick up for me now, but then all this other stuff." And finally, Sasha snaps, goes off and saying, "You know what? I'm so tired of this. I hate talking about my feelings, but you keep forcing me to. I get everybody likes you, loves you. I get that you're a nice person. I get that you do all this, and I love that you're this, and I love that you're a role model and stuff. You just don't get it, Bayley. I love you," and walks off.
Yeah. Most interesting part of the story so far to me.
Yeah,
like they actually caught
absolutely.
my attention a little bit because I have been completely tuned out before.
Absolutely.
I understand. Yeah. I do know that. I do feel like they're trying to. I mean, obviously, I feel like they're trying to drag it to SummerSlam because it's going to be in Brooklyn and all that, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, but I think what you wanted to touch on. Go ahead, because I know you wanted to touch on a little bit different.
Well, I definitely want you to go jump in on it, but I just want to say that I think I think it says a lot about not just our fan base as wrestling fans, but our society in general. That a woman told another woman that she loves her, and the first thought was that, oh, they're doing a lesbian storyline.
Yeah, and they say it so like they're offended about it. Because first of all, if they were doing that, why are you offended about it? Second of all, that's not what they're doing. I mean, if I tell you what, if come to find out that's what they're doing, I will throw myself out the window. Okay, I will. I'll record it. I'll have my wife throw me out the window. I'll let her do it because that's
Well,
not
she
what's
is
going
stronger
on.
than you.
It's it's what they're best friends. Okay, I have lots of friends that I care about and love. Okay, love does not mean in love. Love does not have to mean sexual. Love does not have to mean relation. Like we're having like
Yeah.
a boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend. Those kind of relationships. That's not what it has to mean. Okay, you know what I mean? So I don't like. Yeah, it's so just when people start saying that, I'm like, really, guys, come on. Like, are y'all trying to troll now? Like, I just can't understand why people feel that way. And the thing about it is, you've enjoyed the story, you said, but I know I'm
Yes.
not alone in my criticism of the
No.
story.
And
And
it's
so,
very valid criticism, by the way.
yeah, and so, but I think that it's a shame because for those who were critical and they see this and think like me and think, oh, this is an interesting turn. Like I could get with this and see where they're going with this, as opposed to therapy, right? And then you get on the internet, the evil internet that I love and hate at the same time, and you see people that are like, lesbian. Like, grow up. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously.
it's sickening, dog. It's sickening. First and foremost, if they were doing a lesbian storyline, and I would be absolutely floored and shocked too. So the fuck what, right?
Yeah,
Most
who
people,
cares?
most
It's
people
fine.
look back. Most people look one of the most before this new era of women's wrestling, the women's evolution or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
The the story we most fun looked back at with women was Mickey and Trish. That was a lesbian storyline. So chill,
Hmm.
okay? Number one.
You could almost kind of say lay cool a little bit. They loved each other. I mean, they were always. I mean, you know what I'm
Well,
saying? I
well,
mean,
the Iconics are more
okay,
of that
sure,
than Lay Cool is, because
right,
they call each other their life partners. So
right. Yeah, they do. Yeah,
but secondly, if anybody pays any attention to Sasha, she cares too much about wrestling to put herself in a storyline where the story is gonna overshadow her wrestling.
right.
She cares too much about this. This is real to Sasha, right?
Oh
This is
yeah,
real to her. Thirdly, and this is probably the least relevant in level of importance, but not only has WWE acknowledged, not Total Divas, not an outside source, but WWE itself acknowledged that Sasha's married to Mikaze, who
my
works
God.
for the company,
Yeah,
right? But then we
right.
also know Bayley is engaged to Aaron Solo. So like,
Yeah, for people that are smartened up to it. Yeah.
right? But I'm no, but WWE did a actual video on YouTube about Sasha and Mikaze.
I'm not talking about them. I mean Bailey, like
Yeah,
the
no,
guy that
that's
she's
that's
with or
insider,
whatever.
sure. That's
Yeah.
more insider,
Like you got to be like more smart. But yeah,
sure.
so
So
that's yeah.
it's just ridiculous. But so can I tell you where I think this is going?
Yeah, go ahead.
Very clearly, we know they're gonna clash at SummerSlam. We get this right. But
You
I
sure would
think
hope so.
yeah, right. But I think the reason we've had these twists and turns is for this one reason. When I think the most pertinent thing, even more important than her saying Bailey, I love you, is that in that segment was when she said, you know, I hate talking about my feelings.
Right.
So what I feel like is Sasha is your run of the mill career woman, right? Who puts all the emotion and stuff behind her to just be a buzzsaw at work and do all this. And remember, all this, the biggest part of the Divas and the Women's Revolution was revolved around her and Charlotte, and she's made all these milestones and done all these things, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and then she has this one person who's her best friend, but she can't get past because Bailey is absolutely all emotion. Everything about Bayley's emotion. Come out, her Bayley's gonna hug you. I'm the hugger, and I'm a role model to girls because when I come out to the ring, I high five them. Like everything about Bayley is emotion, right?
Yeah.
Everything about Sasha isn't. Everything about Sasha is calculated, right?
Sure.
So Bayley forcing Sasha to reassess their friendship, reassess what they mean to each other, is taking Sasha off the mark. And remember, Sasha, much like a person, if you've ever in your life met a person who doesn't like emotion and they finally show emotion and they are rejected, they shut down that much harder. Remember,
Well, I can relate.
right? Remember, initially, Sasha was, especially going back to like WrestleMania and all this, Sasha apologized. Sasha was like, I'm sorry. Sasha was trying her best, and Bayley was like, nah, I ain't having it.
Sure.
Sasha shut down even that much harder, which forced them to have more problems. They go to counseling, which I'm sure brings forth a lot more personal stuff. But finally, long story short, Sasha had her she back against the wall moment. Finally had to break down and tell Bayley, look, I love you. I'm actually, if anything, I wish I was you. I can't be that. But the traits you have, I wish I had. And I think that what that's going to do is piss her off so much that she's going to realize that, you know what? I can't do this. When I was successful, I didn't give a shit about nobody. And you're
Right.
making me care. So I have to exercise you from my life to get back to where I want. And
So, what do you think? Loser leaves Raw match at SummerSlam?
no, I don't think anybody's leaving. I think Kurt's gonna come to his understanding I really think Kurt's gonna come to understanding that look, you these girls hate each other. You just gotta let them go. Cause I think Sasha's gonna turn on Bayley, some serious, beat the hell out of her, and not like Bayley did, which was just like like go out her like it's gonna be vicious.
Okay. Okay.
And we're gonna see the return of the boss. Like not it's boss time, but like the boss.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah,
Because she's at her best, really, when she's that.
absolutely agree. Plus, uh, I know Alexa's there, but who else would you count as a top heel on Raw? Ruby's hurt.
Nobody yet.
Right. Well, it would have been Ruby, but she's hurt.
Yeah, could have been. Yeah.
Um. So yeah, I don't know if we really have much else to say about that. Do you want to touch on ratings real quick, or you want to get to the coup de grace?
If you want to touch on ratings, we can. If not, whatever you want to do, man. I told you we got time. I haven't been on in a while. I'm down to talk about any and all.
Well, so there's there's always a there's always a murmur on the interwebs and on the Twitterverse and the Twitter machine and all this stuff about ratings. So just recently, I believe it was last week, WWE had their lowest rated show ever, Monday Night Raw show ever. Am I
Right.
right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. And a whole bunch of people who are unhappy with the product or don't watch the product or don't like the product use that as their excuse to say, well, see, WWE sucks. I told you so. Nobody's watching.
Yeah.
So Rance and Karl are here to, as we always do, talk you off the ledge and explain some truths to you guys, okay? So let's explain a few things to you. First and foremost, to think that nobody's watching or paying attention to WWE is absolutely asinine, ass 10, ass 11, ass 12. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. Okay?
Copyright.
Copyrighted. In fact, I'll even go as far to say that you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok,
Yep.
or run astray, whatever it was. But anyway, okay. The biggest lie told to us on a consistent basis in wrestling journalism is when they put the articles out that say that, oh, well, Raw had the lowest rated show ever, because it's not telling you the correct story.
Clickbait.
It's clickbait. I'm not saying it's not a relevant story to tell, but tell the story correctly.
Right.
Okay? You cannot compare Raw ratings to other Raw ratings. It doesn't tell the whole story because it doesn't account for number of Nielsen homes with Nielsen boxes. It doesn't account for the time period in which the show was taken or the height of the business. None of that. Most importantly, it doesn't account for the night on which it was watched. So consistently for 25 years, Raw has been, if not the top show, one of the 2 or 3 top shows in wrestling. The night that last Monday, the night when it did the lowest rated show ever, of the top 5 hours on cable television that night, it was 3 of them. So you really telling me nobody's watching?
Right. It's just not as many people watching TV that night.
That's what it is.
Well, listen, think about it like this. Okay, let's say, I'm just going to use like kind of like a sports example, okay? And it doesn't have to do with ratings, but to make the point. When we're talking about ratings, you want to compare Raw to Raw, or do you want to compare Raw to their competition every night? You compare Raw to their competition. You don't compare Raw to Raw like you just said. It's just the same thing in sports. If Tom Brady throws for 400 yards one week and 100 yards the next week, but they win both times, are we sitting here and we're going to be like, oh, Tom Brady, man, he had the worst game of his life. They won. You know what I mean? Like, that's all that matters. What matters is the competition. Are you doing what you're supposed to do against the competition? Well, yeah, one week Brady might throw 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and they might beat someone 42-0. And the next week he might throw 100 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 picks, and they still win 13-10. They still won. He still won the game. He did enough to win. Sometimes you win in spite of the quarterback, whatever. But
Sure.
the point is still the point. You don't compare Tom Brady to Tom Brady. You compare Tom Brady to his competition. And to compare to his competition, you'll find out that he's won, 5 Super Bowls? So, compared to everyone else, he's head and shoulders. It's the same thing with Raw. I mean, Raw is, other than Love and Hip Hop, I guess, Raw is usually, and when Monday Night Football is going on, they're top show.
Top show. And
so,
then, and also, I want to add real quick. Me and you talk all the time about the different mediums in which wrestling is watched now.
Yes.
We don't have to go in depth about that, but I do want to acknowledge that we are in a social media age in which there are social media directors, there are social media divisions. People get paid strictly for social media now. This wasn't the case before, right?
Sure.
Go watch the YouTube numbers.
Oh yeah, they're huge.
Go look at the mentions nightly on when Raw's on and when SmackDown's on. So it's not that people aren't people aren't watching television as much as they used to. Plus, also that number doesn't account for DVRs. It's live television, but
Right.
anyway. But it's not that just people aren't watching on the television medium anymore, but they're paying attention to the product, which is ultimately the goal.
Listen, I didn't watch wrestling for like a solid 3 weeks. Didn't watch Raw for like 3 or 4 weeks straight. I still know what's going on. And the funny thing is, the people that do this, that are like, oh, the ratings are in the tank, somehow they still seem to know everything that's going on the show.
Mm-hmm.
How? You hate it so much, and you can't wait to just shit on about the ratings, yet you still know all the stuff that's going on? Do you just need to be informed? Is that what it is?
Can I flip it for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have talked ad nauseum about how much I hate Impact and will never ever watch it again, right?
Right.
I just saw an article that apparently D'Angelo Williams is coming back.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I didn't know that. You know why? I don't care. I don't watch it.
In fact,
I just also saw a tweet retweeted on my timeline today that apparently Moose is fighting Austin Aries. I didn't know Austin Aries was still the champ. You know why? I don't care.
Right. And I'm not hating on Impact. If you like Impact, that's your thing.
Absolutely.
But more people don't care about Impact than they do about Raw, because they are not pulling the numbers that Raw pulls. Guaranteed.
And that wasn't the goal for me to bring that up. My goal in bringing that up was that
I'm bringing it up.
If you really do, well, thank you. If you really say you don't like a product, you don't care about a product, or it doesn't mean anything to you, or this, that, and the other, then you wouldn't keep up with it. I don't care any slight morsel about Impact, so I don't keep up with it.
Right.
I don't know anything about it, anything, unless a tweet is retweeted on my timeline.
Right. I'm with you. I mean, I don't keep up with Impact either. I see things that pop up on my timeline, and that's fine. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watching Impact. Like I just said, if you like it, watch it. And I have no problem with people who watch it trying to encourage others to watch it. You should do that. If you care about something, you should encourage people to watch it. So that's fine. And maybe one day I might go back and watch it. I don't know. Maybe not. I hardly watch WWE that much. So the odds of me going and watching anything else are slim. And people like to get on me about that and say, oh, New Japan, well, you know what? Cool. Like, that's fine. I have limited time. So I don't and I'm not trying to hate on people who have all the time in the world to just sit around and watch wrestling. I know a lot of people do that. Good for them. But yeah, man, this whole idea that we're so closely watching WWE and their ratings and waiting for them to go in the tank. What you should be watching is their stock price, which, by the way, continues to climb up over $80 at the moment. Just saying.
And there's not very many people in this world, especially in the wrestling world, in our bubble, that I respect more than Chad. Chad Matthews, the doc at LOP.
Right.
And Chad is one who's been very critical of that argument about the stock price and the TV ratings, because the argument that he uses, as many others do, is that the business success of WWE doesn't mean or equal to the critical success. There is truth in that, but the difference is that I don't think, and I've said this a million times, and I hate having to repeat myself, but the thing that the people who are on that side of it don't want to acknowledge is that in an entertainment-based field, you ain't getting paid unless somebody is caring or liking your product.
Right.
Right? So I understand that the business of wrestling or business of live television and television in general, has gotten to the point where a company might value the fact that it's just live television episodically every week with no questions, no problems. I get that. That is true. Right?
Yeah.
But you're also not acknowledging that just because you don't like what's going on, or you don't see tangibly that, oh, only 2.5 million people watched Raw this week. Well, count them. That's in America. Count the millions that watched it on YouTube or through GIFs or the Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or Hulu. Then you're not counting all the people overseas, right? The UK, and they just signed a new deal with Romania, and they got a deal with India, and they got to deal with Australia.
Yep.
And things are so much bigger than your little bubble.
Well, it's very American of us to think that we're the only fucking people who give a shit about that. Yeah, that we are the only ones who matter. Well, we're not watching it here, so nobody's watching it anywhere. Okay, tell that to the people in other countries who still think the shit's real. Come on now. We are not the only people on this planet. That is the thing, regardless of what, I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but America is not the only country in the world that watches wrestling.
America.
Yeah, that's how I get sometimes. That's how I feel people are when they get on this ratings kick. It's just the United States. So, but yeah, you're right.
And not only is just United States, but it is a medium that is not only is dying, but is not the main indicator of success.
Listen, I'm a big WWE fan. I take breaks. You know that. I've said it before. I will say it again. I do take breaks when I get disinterested from time to time, because I feel like that's what I should do.
Yeah.
But I'm a big WWE fan. I like a lot of things. I don't have a cable subscription. If I watch Raw, either go watch it at a friend's house, or I watch it on Hulu. I have streaming services, so I have Hulu, I have Netflix, I have HBO, stuff like that. Huh? Or YouTube. Yeah, if I want to find for me, 3 hours sometimes is a slog to get through for me. It isn't for everybody, but for me it is. I got shit to do. Sometimes I can't watch 3 hours of television. So I will watch it on Hulu and get the hour and a half cut. Fill in the blanks. I can go fill in the blanks online. Maybe I don't need to see that backstage segment where R-Truth is worried about Ty Dillinger on SmackDown. I don't need to see that. Doesn't matter to me because they're not going to be on. Like, it's a cool little fun little 10-second thing, but in the grand scheme, it's nothing. So that's kind of how I am sometimes. I'll hit the main points for me. So
And can I end it with this?
yeah,
At least this topic. So if Raw sucks that bad, but it's still getting much more viewers than SmackDown, and SmackDown's critically acclaimed, what does that mean?
yeah, it's the same. Like, it reminds me of the Academy Awards, where the movies that win all the big awards nobody watches. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, these are the best movies. Nobody watches them. It's Skyscraper, which is mind-numbingly stupid plot. It's making all the money. You know what I mean?
Hey, not too much of Skyscraper. I saw it, and it's a hell of an enjoyable movie.
Oh no, I haven't seen it. I've heard that it's a popcorn flick. It's not meant to have this deep, broad meaning about life and
But
whatever.
every movie doesn't.
Right,
Moonlight.
exactly.
If you've seen Moonlight, that won the Oscar last week, and you're a movie snob, and I say that lovingly and insultingly at the same time.
But I watch all kinds of stuff.
Right. If you've seen Moonlight, it's a beautiful movie. I bought it. I own it. I
Right.
love it. But I'm not going to watch that as many times as I'm going to watch Skyscraper when I buy that thing when it come out. It just is what it is.
Like, it's the same thing with like the Marvel universe. You're gonna but most of those movies, they're good and they have
They're really good.
But they're not ever gonna win any like Academy Awards for Best Picture.
You're not going to see Infinity War and for best picture.
That doesn't mean, but it's making all the money. Okay, Infinity War is going to make way more money than Moonlight or pick an Academy Award winner from the last 20 years. Other than the year the Lord of the Rings. Beauty. Other than Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, when it won Best Picture. That's the last big box office movie I can remember that won Best Picture.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, we're getting on movies here, but it's just to make the point that to be critically acclaimed, it doesn't mean you're bringing in that much money in.
Yep. Yep.
So, there's different ways to look at it. That's all I'm saying.
So I think the last thing we really need to get to is this damn Iron Man match, man. Just lead it in. I don't even want to talk about this shit. Lead it in, bro. This shit makes me so mad.
All right, so oddly enough, what I did watch of Extreme Rules, I made sure to watch AJ and Rusev, which is what I wanted to watch. That was the match I wanted to watch. And then that didn't main event. So I went ahead and watched the next match, which was the Iron Man match for the IC title between Dolph and Seth. And let's talk about Dolph first. For a long time, Dolph was very much in the good graces of wrestling fans. A lot of people love Dolph. I like Dolph. I still like Dolph to some degree. He kind of has fallen off over the years. I think more or less people just kind of became indifferent because they felt like WWE wasn't ever going to like put him, like, just much like everyone else they complain about. WWE isn't going to take Dolph Ziggler and make him the guy, so fuck it. On to the next guy. Well, in a lot of ways, that right now, one of those next guys is Seth Rollins. Seth has been the guy for a little before, though. So he has had that major push where he was the WWE champ and he was in all the big storylines. And so now it's kind of like a tale. It's almost like they're mirror images of each other in a way, except one went further than the other. Well, Dolph is in a little bit of a resurgence now, and him and Rollins have had a really good storyline. They're outstanding in the ring together. They've got good chemistry. Of course, they're great wrestlers. We know all this. This isn't new information. But the fucking audacity.
Ooh.
Oh, my God. And
wait a minute. I sat back in my chair for a second.
Listen. Okay. I just want to say this. I understand the argument. I don't agree with it. I understand the argument that people make that, well, they paid their money. They can do what they want. You know what? Fine. Let's use that argument. But the next time you do that shit to someone like Rollins, who you've been clamoring for over Roman Reigns for the last 6-7 months, ever since Rollins, and maybe even a year now, that Rollins really like changed his character and became someone that we were interested in again.
Monday Night Rollins.
Yeah. So the next time
Well,
the fucking audacity, Rance. Now go ahead.
Me and you have been friends for a long time now.
Yeah.
Me and you have been writing and now podcast partners for just as long, almost.
Yeah.
What have I been saying the entire time?
I don't remember.
Fans are full of shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not all of them, by the way.
Not all of them.
This is
in
just,
general.
Right.
But, and you know, I hate to take enjoyment and negativity, but in this case, I did for two reasons. Number one, everything I've been saying was proven. Fans don't know what they want. Fans only care about what they want to care about, and and they're full of it because they say they want something, then they get it, but they don't want it no more because it's not what they want now. But that now just changed 5 minutes ago, and all this, that, and the other. Number one. Number two, I got fired, quote unquote, from a podcast I was on. Wink, wink. Because of my reaction to fan hijacking in the Roman Reigns Jinder Mahal match in Chicago at Money in the Bank.
In the mid card.
In the mid card.
Which they were in again, which he was in again this last pay-per-view. But go ahead.
Thank you. You added more to the situation. I wasn't even gonna talk about that, but yes. But I got fired from a show because of my anger about that, right?
Right.
Okay. At least you can say I'm consistent.
Yeah.
Because people think that issue I had was only about Roman. No, it was about fans. Yes, I had issues because of it was Roman too, because the point was, well, you don't want him to be a champ. He's not the champ. He's not even fighting for the title. You don't want him in the main event. He's not in the main event. You want him to fight, have actual storylines and stuff. He had an actual storyline that was heated with Jinder, and yet before the match even starts, y'all start shitting on it from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the show, in the death spot, no less. Like, at that point, clearly, you just want the guy fired because there's nothing he can do to you, apparently. But to get back to Seth and Dolph, my second reason why I found some enjoyment in that situation was because for once, all the smarks who hate on Roman, who hated that situation with Seth and Dolph, finally saw how it felt to be a Roman Reigns fan for once.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
Because all Roman Reigns fans, and I'm talking about grown men, grown women, kids, all of us have to deal with the backlash and the hatred for this dude. And you know what? It is what it is. We can talk about it all day long and what's right, what's wrong, what's fair, what's not, but it is what it is. But now y'all got to see that it really sucks when something you look forward to and a person you look forward to seeing doesn't get the chance to entertain you the way you want to be entertained because a group of people have decided that something is more important than what they paid to see. So
Yeah.
let me and you, Carl, let's do something real quick as we get ready to end the show. Let's debunk some of these arguments or some of these excuses. Okay.
Okay.
First and foremost, one of the excuses I've heard is that, well, it was a 4 hour show. We were tired.
No, I'm not going with that. Before
No,
you,
no, that I was silent for a reason to basically let you people think
yeah,
about how
okay.
stupid
I'm
that is.
not. I'm not doing that because here's my problem with that. The match prior.
No, 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 no. Don't talk about the match prior, because that's my next point. Don't talk about that. Don't talk
Okay.
about that. Talk
Well,
about that.
in that
Let's
case,
just talk about the fact that it's advertised as a 4 hour show, 5 hour show if you come for the pre-show,
yeah,
and you're complaining about something you paid willingly
you
paid
know
money
what
to
you're
go
getting
see.
yourself into.
Okay.
I mean, you
Not to
could.
mention, not to mention that the show ended about 20 minutes early.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it did end early.
But secondly, let's talk about the AJ Styles Rusev match. To your point about them, y'all was hot for that match before. Y'all was hot for that match, so clearly you wasn't tired. But let's talk about the second argument or excuse is that, well, we wanted to see the world title match main event the show and not the IC match. Okay, that's fair and that's absolutely understandable. But let's talk about something let's talk about a precedent that's been set. Okay, can we talk about a precedent that's been set?
Yeah,
When Hulk Hogan fought The Rock at WrestleMania 18, remember that match?
I do.
And it wasn't the main event.
No, it was not.
Chris Jericho versus Triple H was the main event. All the talk about that afterwards was how Jericho and Triple H shouldn't have been the main event. It should have been Hogan and Rock. Well, why should it have been Hogan and Rock? Because it was the biggest story on the show. Am I
Yeah.
wrong?
No, you're not.
Okay. Let's fast forward to the next most relevant time that's happened, and that's WrestleMania 25. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. Orton and
Who
Triple H close.
okay.
Yeah.
That match was looked at as a disappointment
Yes, it was.
because well there was issues with the match in general, the way it was laid out, but because well Undertaker and Shawn Michaels had the best story, biggest story, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, sir, what WrestleMania 26? What was the last match of that show?
I actually don't remember, but go ahead. You probably know.
The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in the rematch when Shawn Michaels lost and retired.
That was at the main event. Okay, I know.
That
I
was
knew that
the
was on.
last match of the show. Yes,
Okay.
the show ended with Shawn Michaels waving goodbye to the crowd. A precedent has been set in WWE, especially this year, right? Or at least this past 18 months, since we're in July, 19 months, that the last match of the show does not have to be the main championship match.
No,
The
I hear
last
you.
match of the show is often the biggest story.
Typically,
Okay,
yeah.
right? I'll offer to you what fans hated, but we're speaking realistically here. When Roman Reigns beat Samoa Joe at Payback, Shinsuke and AJ went on before that,
Hmm.
but that was a double dick kick match,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
But what was the biggest, most promoted match on that card? Roman and Joe. So, and if I think harder, I'm sure I can go even further to think of matches, that are fitting my point as well, right? The Royal Rumble ended with the Women's Royal Rumble, not in a title match.
Right.
Brock defended that night. AJ defended that night, right? So, and sure, that's the match that the show is built around, but nonetheless, so
Well, it also, but they had two rumbles that night. Went on
right,
after the men. So but the show was promoted mostly centered around the first Women's Royal Rumble. So of course it went on last, as it should have.
So knowing that, if you had watched this past month of wrestling, you didn't watch, so even better. If you had just paid attention to the chatter about this past month of wrestling, what match would you think was the biggest story and most anticipated match on that Extreme Rules card?
Well, I'll tell you this: it's one of two to me, and neither one of them are AJ and Rusev. As much as that's the match I wanted to see, it was Seth and Dolph, and in my opinion, also Roman and Lashley.
Absolutely.
And,
Debunk.
and hey, I wanted to see AJ, and that was the match I was most looking forward to. But then again, I also don't really give a shit about card placement. So I'm a different breed, I guess. The card placement doesn't bother me that much.
It should. But I'm just debunking these arguments
Yeah.
because these are arguments people are giving as to why they had not only did they have the right to hijack, but they were absolutely right in hijacking. Let me give my next argument and excuse that we can debunk, if you don't mind. The next one is that they did not give us the. I'm not gonna go there first. The next match is that we didn't want Dolph Ziggler in that spot. I would ask the people who said that to go back and watch this past month of Raw, just this past month, and when Dolph came out to face Rollins at the in the Open when he won the title, match was super hot,
Yeah.
right? The rematch they had when they went 30 minutes, which is the reason why they had the Iron Man match was super hot. In fact, I believe that match ended the show.
Yeah. They've been
Let's,
promoted as main event because the IC title's been promoted as the top title on
okay,
Raw.
right, but I'm directly speaking to that. Oh, we don't like Dolph. Dolph has been getting some of the best pops of his career these past few months, especially this one.
Dolph's
And
been
people
very interesting.
and people have been super hot about Dolph and Seth in their matches. So it only makes sense that WWE would say, all right, y'all went 30 minutes, there was no fall. Well, let's give you 30 minutes to get all the falls you can get. Okay?
Yeah.
So the idea that we didn't want to see Dolph is, I think, absolutely asinine as well, which leads to the next excuse to be debunked. They didn't give us the match that we wanted to see. I'm gonna give you some facts, but I want you to jump in with your opinion before I give you some facts that's gonna show how stupid that is.
Yeah. I mean, well, what match did they want to see? Just a regular singles match? I mean, first of all, this is the pay per view that they were already shitting on because there weren't enough Extreme Rules type matches, right?
Hmm.
There weren't, like, Extreme Rules has always been, it started out as, like, kind of weapons and those kinds of things. But now it's been different types of matches. Well, this year there
Well,
weren't just,
stipulation matches, yeah.
yeah, stipulations, and there weren't a ton on this pay per view, but there was. What do they
There
want to
was
see? They want to see Hell in a Cell. Do they want to
wait.
see submission? What do they want to see? They got an
There
Iron
was
Man match. It's an Extreme Rule.
there there was a tables match on the
Yeah,
tables match.
there was
There was the
the
Extreme
Extreme
Rules
Rules with the
match.
women.
There
Yeah,
was a cage match. There was a few, but okay.
yeah. They want. There was 10 matches on the card, right?
12 if you count the pre-show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they. I think it was just the whole idea of, like, okay, the pay per view is Extreme Rules, and 75% of the card is regular matches.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I don't even care about that. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that. All I'm saying is, well, did you want just a regular singles match because you were
Well,
bitching about there not being enough Extreme Rules matches?
I think what the illusion is that they wanted to see them wrestle a different style. Not a different Iron Man is fine, but I guess they didn't like the
All the
too quick
pinfalls.
falls and there was too many falls in the match, which is why I have some facts to that will debunk that. May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
There have been 16 Iron Man matches in the history of WWE. 16.
Okay.
Okay? I'm not going to name the matches because that's irrelevant who was in them, but I'm going to give you the scores or the pinfall the falls of each match. May I?
Yeah.
The first match, the score was 3-2. Second one, 3-2. Third, 1-0, and that's the match we all remember between Shawn and Bret at WrestleMania. Fourth, 6-5. Fifth, 4-3. Sixth, 5-4. Seventh, 4-3. Eighth, 2-1. Ninth, a 2-2 draw. 10th, 1-1, another draw. 11th, that was 10th, I'm sorry. 11th, 6-5. 12th, 3-2. 13th, 2-1. 14th, 3-2. 15th, 4-3, and then 5-4. So then the next question is, well, Rance, you know Iron Man matches used to be an hour long. This was 30 minutes. That's way too many falls. Let me give you the fall counts for the 30-minute matches. May I?
Yeah.
Okay. The first 30-minute Iron Man match ended in a 4-3. The second one ended 2-2 tie. The third one was 3-2. Fourth was 2-1. Fifth was 3-2. Sixth was 4-3. So if you look at the history of Iron Man matches, Iron Women because there have been two involving women, it is normally filled with a bunch of falls.
Yeah.
What's the excuse now?
I don't know why anybody gets so worked up about it. I really don't. Other than just because they got to have something to bitch about, man. It's got to be something.
And can I go a little deeper? Do you mind if I go a little deeper?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm sure people will say, well, I can understand the number of falls. I don't like there were so many at the beginning. Okay, well then now we need to talk about the story of the match and the feud. I think that three things that are established in this story is one, Dolph knows his career has been as a guy who can't close.
Right.
He's acknowledged this numerous times, right?
So he brought in a closer.
He brought in a closer. Number one. Number two, it's been acknowledged by the company and the crowd and the announcers that Seth is on the run of his lifetime.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And thirdly, there was a big worry by Kurt about Drew being at ringside to affect the match. There was a match that they had to see if Drew would be at ringside or not. Drew won the match, which meant that he was at ringside. That wasn't just done for the hell of it. Right? Three things established in the eyes and the mind of the fans before the match even started. So, in an Iron Man match, I think maybe the problem is we haven't seen an Iron Man match in a while, or at least a singles one. So maybe that's the problem. But
Has been a while. Yeah.
well, there was one last year, but I mean, I'm talking singles. I think we have to remember that the point of an Iron Man match is that you have falls to give up. So there's strategy involved. For example, if you're in a submission, don't fight through it. Tap faster so you come back and you're not hurt, right? There is strategy in the match.
Yeah.
Dolph got rolled up. It happens. People get rolled up all the time. No big deal. Then Seth curb stomped Dolph and beat him clean, which made Drew think, oh, you know what? I gotta step in. I gotta do something.
Yeah.
He comes in. Dolph loses the fall, but he gets the holy hell beat out of him. Seth does, which allows Dolph, feasibly and understandably, to get back on the horse.
Yeah. He got
Right?
2 quick falls out of that beatdown, and then got another one right after, shortly after.
So exactly, but
The
so
idea was to sacrifice a fall so you could get 2 in return and
get
close
it back.
Yeah.
But this makes sense. Am I the only person understanding this makes
No,
sense?
I had no issue with it. I thought
Okay.
that, you get those 2 quick falls, Dolph's the champ. And he knows he's down 2-0. He can't and he just got curb stomped. Drew knows that he can't, it's going to be an uphill battle from here on now, no matter what. And you're already under the gun with it's been like 5 minutes right off the bat. And they've already had the 2 falls. And Drew's like, okay, sacrifice a fall and just destroy Seth. Get kicked out. Dolph catches up. I did what I can for Dolph. I'm gone. Now Dolph's on his own, but I closed
At
that
least he
gap.
has a shot. Yes.
Yeah, I made up for one of those falls. You know what I mean? I was able to do enough damage to get him right back in the game. So yeah, I mean, this is, and you can be mad about the amount of falls, but the idea behind why there were so many is fine to me.
So, and lastly, I think the last issue that me and you need to talk about, and then we probably need to get out of here, is this. Is how this affects Seth. Okay? Because you said it earlier that when you can't be mad when they put Roman back out there because you shit on the guy that you guys say you wanted.
Yeah.
But do you know that after the show was over, they gave Seth a standing ovation and chanted "Let's go Rollins"?
I think I heard something about that. Yeah.
So that shows me that you care about Rollins, that either you just hate Dolph that much, or you just wanted to do what you wanted to do. So
It's
here's
that
the
one. It's not the Dolph thing.
yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to cover all bases.
Well, the only reason I say that is because there's no like, even if you hate Dolph, you're not going to shit on Rollins in the process.
Absolutely.
You're just doing what you wanted to do.
Absolutely. But I think this goes to show about fans that there is a strong history of fans not supporting people they swear they want to support when they need them the most. And the best example I can give you, I can give you a bunch, but the best example I can give you is SummerSlam 2013. Do you remember that show?
Not really, no.
That's the episode of SummerSlam when CM Punk fought Brock Lesnar in the Best versus the Beast, and Daniel Bryan fought John Cena for the WWE Championship.
I do remember that match. I don't really remember the Punk Lesnar match that much for some reason, but I do remember the Cena Bryan match.
Punk Lesnar got, I think, four and
Oh,
a
I'm
quarter.
sure it did. My memory is trash.
Yeah, 4.5 or 4 3/4 star. So it was just crazy. Like both matches were 4+ star matches.
I'll go back and watch it tonight, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably not. I'm lying, but I'll go back and watch it one day.
They're great matches. But the reason I bring that up is because that was in the midst of the Yes movement, right?
Yeah.
And that's John Cena in real life and on camera. In real life, he went backstage and said, "Look, Daniel's hot. Give him a shot." On camera, if you remember when they were selecting, right? Remember the crowd chanted yes.
He just chose Daniel Bryan.
He just chose Daniel.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Daniel deserves a shot, right? So, a lot of the times when in situations like that, like this was both matches had a build of at least a month. It wasn't like a couple weeks. It wasn't a last minute thing. They had weeks to build. In the case of Lesnar and Punk, that was about 2 months because it was Punk and Heyman, and Lesnar came to protect his Miltic, his advocate, right?
Yeah.
That show did terrible buy rates. It did over 100,000 less than the year before. Who main evented the year before, you might ask? Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. Now, this is what you guys swear you wanted. We want Bryan in the main event. We want Punk in the main event. Bryan beat Cena clean, lost at the end because of a cash-in, which led to a storyline that should keep you invested. Nobody watched.
Hey, man. Daniel Bryan and John Cena in this economy? Come on now.
But the point I'm trying to make is, so you wonder why Vince continues to go to Roman, Vince continues to go to Cena, and whoever else you want to throw out there that he goes to, whatever, right? The reason being is because he's seen some form of continued success. But when he gives somebody else a chance that the fans swear they want, they don't match.
That's the thing. Like, people forget, I think, sometimes that, and I hate to be the guy who does this business thing on people, but people forget that, like, there are guys who work within these companies who look at buy rates. They look at data and they say, okay, for this pay-per-view, we did this number, and for this pay-per-view, we did this number, and so on and so forth. And you can go back and literally look at who were the guys headlining those shows, and they do those numbers. And so you have trends, you have data that will show you, oh, well, when we put Roman on, it did this number. When we put such and such on, we did this number. Maybe we should put this guy on, right? So once again, it's just like you said, fans can sit there and do this, go round and round about, well, we wanted this and we wanted that. But if that's what you want, you better fucking bring it and watch it and pay attention to it when you get it. Otherwise, to me, it's almost like voting, right?
You can't complain if you ain't vote.
If you didn't vote, fuck off. I'm sorry. Get out there and vote.
That's your one time to show what you want.
Yeah,
absolutely.
When you have an opportunity to show what you really want, you got to do it because they don't always come around. You know.
And in this particular case, it's just hilarious to me that the point you'd rather prove a point than support a guy which is gonna prove bigger point than you're trying to prove.
Yeah.
So if you wanted Daniel Bryan in 2013. That pay-per-view should have got 1 million views, 1 million buy rates, because then the point you would have proved is that Daniel deserves to be in the main event, not we want him in the main event. So hijacking, cool, all that does is ruin the show. It ruined the shows for the next few months because nobody else could get any interest other than Bryan, right?
Yeah.
But had you supported that night, do you really think that Bryan would have got de-pushed, quote unquote, for those few months?
Not if he's bringing in all the money.
Not if he got 1 million buy rates. So Seth, right? Seth has been the one guy in the 4 years since the Shield broke up. Seth has been the one guy outside of Roman who has been a full timer who has gotten legitimate, and AJ of course, right? Who has gotten legitimate top of the card pushing.
Right.
I did the article and talked about it that if you look at it from a numbers perspective, Seth has arguably been pushed harder than Roman has, right?
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity to get back to the top. He gets the main event over the world title so that you can get your guy and you chant for a clock.
Yeah, it's typical. It's like a lot of things that happen these days with fans and within wrestling. Just not that surprised by it. You know,
I'm always surprised by it.
I'll be honest with you. When it started happening, I was like, why are they doing this? That's kind of what they do. I'm just not really that surprised because it's entitled, spoiled, like, that's just the way it is, man. It's just the way some of them are. It's not all of them. It's not everybody. I saw a lot of people that night when I was going through Twitter and stuff that were like, what the fuck are these people doing? You know, there were a lot of people that were like, what is going on? So it's not all of you, but it is a select few of you. You know who you are.
Well, let me flip it and make it full circle to the first subject, to the Hulk Hogan subject. I'm never shocked if I hear that a person is racist.
Right.
But the person who turns out to be racist can be shocking.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm never shocked when the fans do something that's crazy, but the situation in which the fans do it can still shock me. And that night shocked the hell out of me. That they would shit on Seth like that. And then have the nerve the next night to be mad that, well, man, we want Seth. You give us Roman and Lashley, but we wanted Seth. Well, you shit on him last night. You wanted Seth, then you should have supported Seth last night. Support him every time every match he's in. He should get crazy support more than anybody else.
And it's crazy because most of the time he does.
Yep.
And it's just like, why? Like, is this an outlier? Like, I don't know. I don't think it is. Because I really do. I think there's just I think it's mostly the live crowd. I think the live crowd just likes to. They want to be the main attraction. They want to be the main event. You know, and a lot of it might stem from those Monday Night Raw crowds after Mania. But I do think that, you know, I don't know, man. This is what they get. And all I'm going to say once again is, if you keep getting Roman Reigns, don't be surprised. Like, I like Roman, so I don't give a fuck. But for those of you who don't, you better do better next time you get your opportunity because they're not going to come around that much.
I'm saying, bro, if you really want to support somebody, then support them all the time. Not there should never be a message, or there should never be a bigger message to the company than supporting the guy you want.
Yep,
That should be
agreed.
the biggest message you can give, right? So, you guys want to act, want swear and want to believe that your voice matters. Well, if your voice matters, then when you don't support a guy, it matters just as much as when you do.
Absolutely. I think that's a good place to end it right there.
Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, man?
I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, we've been on here for a while. We normally don't like to do long episodes this long, but it's been a while. Carl needed to get reingratiated into the show, and hopefully once we're able to do these more often, more regularly, um, I'm even thinking about doing some different formats. Maybe doing two Outsiders Edges a week. One with you and one with Kyle, because Kyle, we do more of the non WWE stuff, NXT and G1. I mean, in New Japan and Ring of Honor, and stuff. So maybe give you guys a little more content and different content, because Carl, not damn sure ain't gonna talk about that.
Nope.
Um,
No, we are not. I'm
not
not.
one bit. No, not one bit. But yeah. Tell them where they can find you at, brother.
Well, you can find me at Outsider Curvin on Twitter. KERVIN on that. And they had the Twitter purge recently where a bunch of people lost their a bunch of followers and stuff. Well, not me. I
Me
gained
neither.
followers. You know why? I don't buy my followers. I promote myself. So just want to throw that out there. But yeah, give
Dog.
me a follow on there. I'm on Twitter a lot. I use Twitter.
Oh my God. Meltzer gave Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era last last Wednesday 5 stars.
Uh-oh.
All right. You can find me at it's Raycash, REY as in Mysterio, CASH as in dollars. You can follow the show at Outsiders Edge SS. It's a joke now, but eventually we're gonna start tweeting from the account. Eventually. Of course, I've been on a bit of a hiatus from writing.
Me too.
But
But I got a
I'm
column coming soon. That's also the other joke.
Yes. Well, that's definitely a joke for Carl. I actually have a column that I'm planning on writing maybe by the end of this week, and I have a special series of things on Chair Shot with some of the Chair Shot top guys coming out soon. So look out for that. And like Carl said, Carl does write for the site when he decides to actually sit down and write. But no, don't forget, support Social Suplex. Follow Social Suplex at Social Suplex. Um, Anywhere you want to listen to us, look up Social Suplex Podcast Network, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, Podcast Addict, everywhere. Stitcher. Um, Shout out to Grown Men Watch This Shit at Grown Men Pod, One Nation Radio at One Nation Radio, Ricky and Clive, the homies at Ricky and Clive. Keeping a Strong Style, the New Japan show, which is they're killing it right now, and the G1 is every day. So you want that information, check that out at KI Strong Style. But yeah, man, we out here trying to get y'all this good content. So yeah, keep looking us up, keep following, keep listening. We appreciate it. We're trying to continue to do bigger and better things for you guys to show you the appreciation we have for you guys supporting and listening. And before we go, anything else you want to say, Carl?
Yeah, see y'all in a couple months.
All right. But before we leave you, we want to remind you that if you did not like anything from the show, you have to understand that we are living our dreams, and you have to give us credit for that,
Yes,
right? Because at least we tried. We gave it our all.
we gave it our best.
Thank you for listening.